Hello guys, and welcome to a new Steel Division video today by me, Vulcan. Today I have for you Player versus Walther in the quarterfinals of Herr's Grand Tournament. Today we are going to be seeing Show, and on the allied side, Player is using the 1st Pancerna versus Walther's 9th Panzer on the Axis side. So some very different divisions to what we've seen already. Player, though, in the last game did defeat Walther quite convincingly with the Festung, so we'll have to see if he can maybe do the same with the 1st Pancerna. So let's talk a little bit about the divisions. The 1st Pancerna, well known for their hurricane use. They can strafe very well with those in the early game. They also have some pretty mobile armor in the form of the Staghounds. They can use Cromwell 6s, and they do have plenty of other Cromwells available to support them in Phase A. As well as that, they've got pretty damn cheap infantry, so they can hold the front line across the entire map very easily, and that's something that definitely helps gain an advantage early on. On the side of the 9th Panzer, it's a little bit different. Infantry is very expensive, so you can't spread it out as much. You're very much reliant on things like the Marder 3s, and if not the Marder 3s, then your Panzer II combos, which are the Panzer II Lux alongside of a Fell Panzer II, and maybe like the Panzer 1s, I think as well. But either way, we'll have to wait and see if that comes down, and if it does, how useful they are for Walther. We have seen in the past the Panzer II Lux being used very well on Show, utilizing line of sight in the town here to gain an advantage, and something that Walther may definitely do to support his infantry. It does also have Sturm Pioneers in Phase A, so can try and exploit that advantage as well, especially against things like Streltsy. But let's have a look at some of these deployments. On the side of Player, he is going to be bringing a Staghound towards the town, alongside 2 Streltsy and the command infantry. There's also some Dragoni there, which do have the Piat, which is obviously very useful at holding back some of the light tanks that Walther has the potential to bring in. For the mid is going to be a Staghound with 1 Streltsy unit. Further up is going to be a 6-pounder. That is then assisted by a Streltsy, some Recon, and the Cromwell 6. So the Cromwell 6 can definitely put a lot of pressure on up here. The 6-pounder is just great at keeping away any AP vehicles that try to put pressure onto the Cromwell 6. So for example, the Marder 3 that Walther has deployed on the other side up here, alongside the half-track and the Spearthroop in the 251. Further down, just more infantry to cover the front line. The 251 with the Spearthroop, there is going to be some more infantry there as well, probably more Panzer Grenadiers. Panzer Grenadiers for the town with some Sturm Pioneers, command infantry, and an AT gun. The one thing that you can do with the 9th Panzer or any other Axis armoured division is use the infantry and the half-track both to hold the front line forwards. So where the 1st Pancerna will just spread out multiple Streltsy squads that cost 15 points a pop, with the Axis armoured divisions, what you have to do is unload your infantry and then place the half-track elsewhere in order to have the sort of same effect for a similar cost, although Panzer Grenadiers aren't just generically very expensive because they do have those 2 MG42s that can rip to shreds enemy infantry at range, as well as, of course, Panzerfaust, which I think the 9th Panzer Grenadiers have, so that also increases their cost. But let's have a look at some of these units and where they're deploying. So pretty standard here for Player. Hasn't deployed too far back, not too far forwards. Is going to enable him to get his infantry into position. Walther's doing roughly the same thing, so I don't think any of the infantry is really going to be firing at each other straight off the bat, which is just a smooth deployment for both players. Staghound is going to try and get a quick kill onto the 251 in the mid here, and if it can do so, it will open up the front line quite significantly. So Walther doing a great job of just getting that the hell out of there. Does not want to take that engagement if he doesn't have to. 6-pounder is going to try and get into this tree line if it can. Then as the Marder 3 does approach, it may get the opportunity to take a shot. And that can be something that is baited by the Cromwell 6 there. On the bottom side though, infantry engagement has begun. Panzer Grenadiers with those MG42s and the Kar-98 is going to be getting involved with the Dragoni. Dragoni are in heavy cover though, so the MG's not going to do as well as they otherwise would. Staghound does take out the only half-track support in the town, and that's pretty significant. Streltsy there playing with fire, that's for sure, as they approach the Sturm Pioneers flamethrower. And both of them going to be forced out of the buildings they tried to occupy. With the help of the Staghound, might be able to break through that Sturm Pioneer unit. 6-pounder is being engaged from range here. We can see that it has taken 1 damage. Going to just be pulled out of the tree line there. Attack moved in the opposite direction. Just to maybe try and clean up some of these half-tracks instead of trying to take on the Marder 3 that is trying to exploit the 1,200 meter range up there. Nice clean kill there from the Pak 38. Does take out the half-track that brought in the Dragoni. And now it looks like players wanting some recon to spot this infantry at close range, enabling his carrier and the Staghound to open up onto this infantry without actually having to sacrifice any of his Streltsy. Because what he can do is if this recon, say, gets into this building and is on return fire, it can likely spot the Sturm Pioneers without actually being fired upon. On this top side though, we can see that the Cromwell 6 has been bailed out. That is huge. The Marder 3 did manage to get a clean shot there, and that is very well done. Universal Carrier is going to be looking to stop these Panzer Grenadiers advancing onto the tree line, but that is going to give a shot for the Marder 3, forcing that to fall back. 6-pounder needs to take a shot at this 251 and get rid of that, otherwise a huge salient is going to form on this top side. Currently only this Jeep holding the line. Staghound's going to be pinning down this Panzer Grenadier, gets the job done there. New Cromwell 6 is on the field. Player struggling to hold the line right now, but a nice response getting another Cromwell 6 on the field and also continuing pressure into the town here. The recon is now arriving, but the Staghounds and the command carrier here not as affected by the Sturm Pioneers, so are exploiting that to kill them off. And with them being gone, the Dragoni and Streltsy can get really close up to these Panzer Grenadiers. But Walther, again, a nice response. Does bring in Sturm Pioneers, another squad of them, which is going to be difficult for player to break through. Unless he can get maybe an artillery unit or something that can pin the Sturm Pioneers before he engages them. But either way, 6-pounder has come through here, and oh no, Walther got very greedy with the placement of his Marder 3 and gets punished. Maybe he was reliant very much on these Panzer Grenadiers reaching the tree line and didn't realise or forgot about the 6-pounder, and that has cost him dearly. One of his Marder 3s going down there. There is one in the mid, but whether or not that's going to be able to do as much damage as the one on the top remains to be seen. Although the one on the top didn't actually do too much other than kill the Cromwell 6, which I guess pays itself off, so it's not too bad. Anyway, back down on this town. Sturm Pioneers killing one Streltsy squad, killing off the Dragoni here with the help of the Panzer Grenadiers. That is a nice engagement there for Walther for sure. Definitely making his Sturm Pioneers pay off. You can see he's actually deactivated the Kar-98, so they only engage at 100 meter range. It's really smart when you go into like a town engagement like that. You don't want your Sturm Pioneers to reveal themselves unless they can use their flamethrower. So that's why you turn off the Kar-98s. Now Spear Troop up here, they have been spotted. The recon is moving forwards and now assisted by all of this machine gun fire as well as the main gun from the Cromwell 6. That Spear Troop is not long for this world. Marder 3 taking a shot there at the Staghound. Staghound does just quickly move its arse out the way. Was not happy about that. New 6-pounder though. Oh, that's been brought into an ideal location here. Currently blocked by the Universal Carrier though, so isn't moving into the tree line. Wow, Walther's got away with that one. Because if the 6-pounder had moved into the tree line sooner, it would have been within the 1,000 meter range to take a shot, and there would have been a potential for a kill there. Streltsy have continued to move up, and the Panzer Grenadiers are going to be pinned down. Probably can find a surrender with the universal carrier. You can see he's going to go for the fast move there. There is a Pak 38 sort of holding the line on that top side. Marder 3 also moving in that direction now though. Panzer 1C. Man is going to take a shot from the 6-pounder, and the Staghound does get internal fragmented, so it cannot fire back. Just going to be trying to retreat. Staghound can possibly push aggressively, but that really depends on whether or not player knows where this Marder 3 is, because having seen it previously in the center of the map, player won't want to push onto that unnecessarily. Pak 38 does reveal itself though by killing that carrier on the top side, so player is well aware of that location now, which enables him to get a fire position command in with the Cromwell 6. That's exactly what they're good for. Meanwhile, down in the town, Sturm Pioneers and Panzer Grenadiers still dancing around in these buildings. Looks like the Sturm Pioneers got a couple of these recon kills. You can see player trying to do that though. In this case, the recon were just a little bit too close. But he's trying to get them into a position where they spot the infantry in the buildings without having to sort of throw a Streltsy squad at it, and that's just so smart. Pak 38 though coming in and reinforcing, has got a really nice line of sight into the town here, but if the Staghound and carrier retreat correctly, then that shouldn't be a matter, or shouldn't be a problem for much longer. Cromwell 6 cleaned the Pak 38 up very nicely. Must have been a couple shots there, did the job. And that's unfortunate for Walther, because he's really running out of stuff to defend that top side against the Cromwell 6. He does of course have the Marder in position, but with the Staghound so close and the 6-pounder sort of rolling up on him, it's constantly forcing Walther to move this Marder to a new location. And due to it being low on HE ammunition, it's not really going to be able to kill off a 6-pounder at a 1200 meter range anymore. So the addition of the mortar carrier up there is actually a relatively good choice by Walther. But on this bottom side, Pak 38 does find a shot towards the Staghound. Only gets a shooter wound. I feel like Walther's been pretty unlucky with the hits so far of these Pak 38s, and now there's a Sexton on the field that is going to be trying to pin those down. That's also very useful for identifying the location of the Sturm Pioneers and pinning those down before they become a problem. Sturm Pioneers do have smoke here. I'd like to see them honestly smoke this Panzer Grenadier if that Panzer Grenadier wants to move up. In this case, does get the Panzerfaust towards the command carrier. Doesn't actually manage to connect though. These Sturm Pioneers have to be very careful as they move across the open here. Half-track now getting involved. Staghound was forced back, so couldn't really stop these half-tracks from advancing. And the Sexton's taken out the Pak 38 now. So that will allow the Staghound to now push back. But the Sturm Pioneers, they've done a lot of damage. They've taken a lot of damage though, and they've run out of flamethrower ammunition. That could be quite important, because with the Sturm Pioneers gone, it will enable the infantry of player to be significant once again. This Marder 3's kind of struggling to get into the right location at the moment, whilst the Cromwell 6 continues to hammer the infantry on the top side there. Nice clean kill from these rifles onto these Sturm Pioneers, so that's now dealt with. +1 for player as he hits the 51% once again. Now pushed over 30 or 300 points, 330 points. This Panzer 1 though, providing a nice salient for Walther. If it gets taken care of, however, that will be a +2, or not +2, 52% territory at least for player. So player, I think, is really in the driving seat here, having taken out the Marder 3 on the top side. Definitely gave him a lot of breathing space. Marder's now using the last 2 HE shells onto this Streltsy squad. And that's not actually too bad for player. Yes, that squad's going to take a little bit of damage, but at the end of the day, this Marder not having any HE means that it can't really deal with the 6-pounder very well at all. Oh, nice job there. Cromwell 6 comes in, gets the surrender onto the recon unit, blinding Walther on the top side. Going to make things difficult as the game continues. These Panzer Grenadiers not quite in line of sight of the M5 half-track, so as this M5 half-track engages the Panzergrenführer, they can't do anything about it. Would normally be in range to use the Panzerfaust, but not in this case. New Sturm Pioneers coming in. If he can play around with this Sturm Pioneer just as well as he's been doing with the others, then Walther can certainly make player pay for his push into this town so far. But one thing that Walther has failed to do so far is find a kill onto this Staghound. And that is really unfortunate because the Staghound is causing so many problems in sort of cleaning up these half-tracks. And without the half-tracks, it's very difficult for Walther's infantry to win, regardless of whether or not they're Sturm Pioneers or not. Because Sturm Pioneers will eventually be overrun, but if you have sort of half-tracks covering their flanks, then that doesn't really happen so much. But having this Sexton on the side of player take out both the Pak 38s now, no threat left to the Staghound, that can move up, clean up these half-tracks. Also, if the Panzer Grenadiers get taken care of, then the Staghound can just face tank the flamethrower and it won't matter regardless. But there, a pinning shot from the Sexton will do the job, and now he doesn't even have to fight the Sturm Pioneers. He can just walk up into the face and force them to surrender, and that's exactly what you want to do. So great job by player to make that happen. Now brought in a Sherman 5. We have moved into phase B, so that Panzer 1C under threat, and having lost all of that ground that he had, Walther is now suffering a +2 towards player. The player's now counting up the points very quickly as Cromwell 6 did manage to get a shot towards this Pak 40 here. Is now going to back off as he does know it's there. But having control of both the town and the top side of the map at the moment, there's not really a better position that player could be in other than just having 99% territory. So very, very strong position here for player. And as long as he doesn't mess it up by sacrificing units unnecessarily, he should be in the driving seat at least until phase C. In phase C there are Tigers that can come in on the side of the 9th Panzer that can definitely put more pressure onto the top side than the current units that he has access to. Also, there would be more infantry availability, so he might be able to continue to contest the town. However, it looks like pretty much a lost cause at this moment in time. Now, this Stug 3 getting awfully close to the town at the moment. I'm not entirely keen on this positioning of the Stug 3 because the closer it gets, the more chance for a Staghound to pop out and try and get the kill. Panzer 1C now coming in, accompanied by 2 units of infantry, 251 there, hanging out as well. But Staghounds do threaten half-tracks quite badly, and that's something that Walther has experienced throughout the game so far. Universal carrier though, or this command carrier, is making some ground here on the bottom side. If it manages to get behind this tree line, it's just grabbing loads of territory for free. Very, very nice job here by player to exploit that weakness in the defense. Continues his +2, keeps him in a very strong position, and once again Staghound kills a half-track. The Cromwell 6 here is backed off to just over 1,200 meter range from this tree line. That means if the Pak 40 wants to kill the Cromwell 6, it's going to have to come out of the tree line and then will inevitably be spotted by the Zuidalci. So that's a really smart use of the Cromwell 6 there by player. It looks like he's also moving the Staghound out of range as well. So nice job indeed. Now, unfortunate that Stug 3 did not connect with the Staghound. Would have likely been a kill. Sherman 5 finishes its job hunting the Panzer 1. Cleans that up. But now we see a Firefly 1C on the way. And if that can get a clean engagement at 1,200 meter range onto the Stug 3, we could see a very dead Stug 3. Because the Stug 3 won't be able to really fight back effectively unless it can push within the 1,000 meter range, which will be difficult because you'll have to sort of get closer to the town, which is somewhere he doesn't want to be because of the positioning of the Staghounds. And players' positioning of troops throughout this game so far has been absolutely spot on. I'd say the only mistake he made was allowing the Cromwell 6 to be hit by the Marder 3. But then returning the kill with a 6-pounder was very nice. Probably more of a mistake on Herr Robert's part, him allowing the Marder 3 to be killed. So both players made mistakes in the open, And I would say it's much easier to make mistakes in the open than it is actually at close range. Because at close range, it's a lot more sort of definite. You sort of make the engagement because you think you can win. So yes, sometimes those engagements won't go in your favour, but you've kind of made that decision. Whereas in the open, it's especially at the 1,200 meter range sort of engagements, sometimes you can get caught out because you're not really paying attention, and that's something that I think has happened. So the Stug 3 here, now engaging the Firefly, actually does find the 1,000 meter range engagement, and this is very risky for both tanks. The Stug 3 should have the advantage of the veterancy. Does manage to get the driver knockout, but can the Firefly 1C return the kill? No, it can't. Stug 3 is going to get the pin. Can it get another shot off and find the kill? It would be very nice if it could. I'm surprised that it hasn't, and well, with the Firefly falling back, the Stug 3 automatically targeted the Staghound instead, and that is unfortunate to say the least. One of the Staghounds did die on the bottom side here. Sexton though, that's now going to be engaging the mortar carrier, trying to take that on. Pack 40 is pushing out of the tree line here. Player sees that coming, is going to be backing off. Here comes the Hurricanes. Hurricane Mark 4. Two Hurricane Mark 4s, one of the bombers. Looks like the Hurricane Mark 4 here is going to engage the ME-109 G2BR-21 while this one comes in and bombs and kills the Pack 40. Very good job there. 15 HE power bombs making the difference, and I think this is a very dead ME-109 G2BR-21 as these Hurricanes both get onto target. We'll have to see if that actually goes down. It doesn't. The ME-109 actually gets out alive, was retreating for long enough. So, Firefly 1C. Another one going to be joining us on the top side there. The one on the bottom has been weapon jammed. Walther now bringing in the Panzer 4J to assist in a push back into this town. Pushing back into this town though may be futile at this point. I think he'd have a much better chance of trying to clean up the top side, but saying that, with a Firefly 1C and a Cromwell 6 in your way, it's very difficult to deal with. Focke-Wulf 190 though comes in, tries to get the kill onto the Hurricane Mark 4, is unsuccessful in doing so, gets forced back itself due to the Bofors 40mm. And this Hurricane might actually get revenge here. Gets onto the back of the Focke-Wulf. Will it have enough ammunition? It does not. It actually runs out. And another plane of Walthers lucky to get out alive. Oh, a mistake on the top side here. Marder 3 reveals itself to the 6-pounder. And this 6-pounder, if it doesn't get the kill, that's actually very unlucky for player. Nicely smoked off though by Walther. Corrects his mistake there with a nice smoke cover. And allows his Marder 3 to remain alive for now. The Hurricane going to be coming in now on the bottom side. It's going to be covering off the infantry. And keeping the infantry pinned makes things very awkward for the rest of the vehicles and tanks to push. So really smart sort of unit priority there by player. Making sure that he pins down the infantry and therefore negates some of the effectiveness of these tanks and vehicles. He's also being very patient with his Sherman 5. The Sherman 5 now going to come out for the close range engagement with the Panzer 4J. Will be able to out-aim the Panzer 4J, but the Panzer 4J was already firing its gun in the same direction, so didn't have to adjust its turret at all, and that made all the difference there. Sherman 5 taking a shot right in the face, gets shooter wounded, lucky not to be killed. The Bofors 40mm did go down in the meantime. Stug 3 now engaging the Stug on the top side. Oh, such a bait here. Unfortunately, this Firefly doesn't have the veterancy to really take advantage of that, but I liked the idea that player had. I think he wanted to engage the Staghound onto the Stug so that the Firefly could then get a clean engagement, but in this case, Walther finding the kill and backing off, which is exactly what he would need to do. Oh, look at this half-track push into the town here. Dragoni getting a second kill with their Piat. Already killed a Panzer 1C, kill a half-track now. Saperzi with the flamethrowers can kill off these half-tracks. Also can use their grenades at close range. Surprised they aren't. Seems that player does not want to do that. I think he's realised that he now can and is moving back. ME1 and IG2 BR21 comes in with a rocket strike. This is getting very close to surrender territory, but thankfully the Superzi killed off that half-track. Otherwise, if that rocket had pinned down the Sherman 5 and the Superzi, that would have been 2 surrenders there, which would have been absolutely horrific. Mosquito now coming in to engage the Focke-Wulf 190. Clean kill from the Panzer IV-J to kill the Cromwell. And now the Sherman 5 has a clean shot at close range. Actually, the Panzer IV-J does recover. The Panzer IV-J is actually going to aim quicker than the Sherman. Sherman goes down. This time around does not get away with it. Nice kill there for Walther. Lucky though that his Panzer IV-J recovered and had its turret facing the right direction. But moving into phase C here, we do see now a Tiger on the field on the top side. I mentioned that this could definitely play a big part in this game, but we can't discount the Fireflies that the 1st Pancerna do have, as well as the air support that's been doing very well. Like the addition of this Mosquito, for example, with these 10 HE power bombs can definitely help take care of something like a Tiger, because if you pin it down with a bombing strike and then attack it with the Firefly, there's a good potential you'll find a kill, because 16 AP versus 12 armor, even at max range, is very decent for a Firefly, or at least decent enough to have a decent chance of getting a kill. Anyway, Dragoni here under a lot of fire from the machine guns. It looks like Walther has managed to bring it back to only a +1 for player. Still a long way to go if he wants to bring this game back. He's going to need like a +4 at this point to really succeed in the game, and that's a long way off. We'll start with a +1, +2, and I don't think players really going to see ground that easily. 6-pounder does ammo storage hit the half-track there, and in doing so does reveal its location to this half-track. But the half-track is actually very low on ammunition, so that's unfortunate for Walther, because he won't have that support to pin down the 6-pounder in the future. The 6-pounder did manage to take out the half-track before it got smoked off, but not particularly going to matter. I was going to say that it's revealed itself, so that's a problem, but not really if there's only one mortar shell in the half track, unless that like direct hits. What did direct hit now? No, it didn't. Okay, ME109 G2 BR21 comes in, hits the Cromwell 6, doesn't actually hit the 17-pounder that's right next to it, and that could be huge. Oh, lovely kill there from the Firefly, kills the Marder. It was hidden by the SDKFZ 263 there, but gets shot. 263 goes down as well. Tiger E does not have the 2-star veterancy, and now we're going to see a Firefly 1C and a 17-pounder engaging a Tiger, and that is not a place it wants to be. Does get track wheel damage by the 17-pounder. Focke-Wulf in the meantime kills one of the Hurricanes. That Tiger's in a terrible spot because this Firefly is going to be in the position to chase it down. That's if the 17-pounder doesn't just straight up kill it. This is really, really tough for Walther, and losing the Tiger there is absolutely devastating. He will have a second one available on the division, I would hope, but with that one Tiger going down, it definitely makes things difficult enough to come back in time. Hurricane kills the Focke-Wulf, and Walther is going to surrender. 24 minutes and 53 seconds. Player defeats Walther in what was a much more competitive game than the first one. Very nice to watch indeed. Got incredibly intense there towards the end with that engagement between the 17-pounder and the Firefly and the Tiger. Like, that was some nasty kills for sure. Player in the end, 1,785 kills to 1,040 losses. Early on, this stag hound controlled the town so damn well, and Walther, being unfortunate not to find a kill with the Pak-38s, was left in a very tough position because the stag hound could face tank those Sturm Pioneers at the end of the day, and although the Sturm Pioneers were being microed very well in order to kill multiple infantry units, the stag hound just made the victory in the town inevitable for player. Again, another stag hound picking up multiple half tracks. It just seems that's what they're so good at, This 6-pounder killing the Marder 3 early on though, that was absolutely killer for Walther. From mile 6 had already done its job by that point, killing the Pack 38 and the Spear Troop and the Panzer Grenadiers. Then did die, of course, to the Marder 3. Sexton, that came in and cleaned up those Pack 38s very nicely. Good choice of unit to get rid of those and allow that Staghound to continue its dominance. Really good placement of those Staghounds as well after the town was captured, keeping them behind those buildings in threatening locations so that tanks on the side of Walther couldn't get too close without being at risk of being flanked. The Firefly came in and cleaned up the Marder 3, took out the 263 and the 251 half-track towards the end there, and then we saw the 17-pounder kill the Tiger E and the Hurricane shot down the Focke-Wulf in the end. It was a very explosive end to a very tactical game, and well played by both players. I just feel like Walther there at the end made one too many mistakes and paid the price. Stug 3 did manage to clean up 2 Staghounds for itself. This Panzer IV J trading with the Sherman 5 at close range was very important, but it wasn't enough in the end. There just wasn't really too much done in the early game that enabled Walther to have a solid comeback. He lost too much ground, sat on, allowed player to sit on a +2 for too long, and then sort of ran out of time basically, which led to the surrender. But there you have it. Player is victorious and will be going up against Vuhati in the semi-finals, which is set to be a very good game indeed, a very good set of games. So hopefully you guys are as looking forward to that as much as I am. It's going to be a good one, that's for sure. Commiserations to Walther, knocked out of the tournament at this phase. But yeah, congratulations to the player for moving on. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed the quarterfinals as much as I have. We'll be moving on to the semi-finals now, casting Dnester versus Fussel next up. Then we'll be following that with player versus Vuhati. Until then, hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.